It's really important to practice recalls, not only in situations when you need your dog to come back, but also it's important just to practice it throughout the day just to keep that skill sharp and fresh. So let's talk about some ways to practice it. At first, the first few days that your dog comes home, you're working on off-leash recalls, do it at home in a secure environment. So if you have a backyard that's fenced in, do it there at first. If you don't have a big enough space to practice it in, you can go to a friend's house if they have a backyard, or you can take your dog to a park that's fenced in. Practice it without any distractions at first. So don't take your dog to a dog park with a bunch of dogs running around and practice recalls. So how do you practice it? You want to call your dog when your dog's not engaged with you, meaning if they're off at a distance, sniffing the ground, looking at something else, not focused on you, that's when you want to call them. It's not ideal to call them when they're already paying attention to you, because in a real life scenario, think about it, when are you most likely to recall your dog? You're most likely to recall your dog when they're distracted by something else. Your dog's going over to another person or another dog. Your dog's chasing after something. Your dog's moving away from you. So those are the scenarios you want to practice recalls in. So you're going to let your dog be free, off leash, wandering around, and when they're moving away from you, or their body is facing away, they're not paying attention to you, that's when you want to call them. Seven, come. Yes, awesome, good. Fondue, come. There's nothing wrong with calling your dog when they're staring at you, that's fine, but it's not going to prepare you as well for a real life scenario when you're recalling your dog when they're distracted. If you're trying to do this and your dog is just staying glued to you, like they're staying engaged with you the whole time, you can't get them to leave you. One tip that can help to get your dog disengaged and distracted is to throw a pile of food away from you. Atlas, come. Good boy, yeah, buddy, yeah. Good. Okay. Good boy. Okay. Atlas, come. Good boy, yeah, buddy, good. Yes, awesome. Don't recall your dog from the following scenarios. The first, don't recall your dog out of a downstay. The reason why is because if you have your dog lie down, you tell them to wait, you walk away from them, and then you call them to you. Lie down. Wait. Seven, come. The next time you put them in a down and walk away, they're going to be thinking, oh, there's a possibility that you might call me. So it's going to make them less likely to stay there. It's going to make them possibly anticipate and come to you early. Down stays are all about stability. So we want, when our dog's lying down there, we want them thinking about nothing else except remaining in that spot. We don't want to even open up the possibility that we're going to call them. So we rarely ever recall our dog out of a downstay for that reason. You can recall your dog out of a downstay if it's an emergency situation. Like if you tell your dog to lie down and then another dog starts running up on your dog and it looks like it's going to attack your dog, obviously there you can recall them. But try not to do it too often or ever. It's always better to go back to your dog to release them. The other scenario you shouldn't recall your dog from is off their bed. So if you watch our bed video, we talk about always going up to them, touching them, and releasing them, not releasing them when you're standing far away. And also don't recall your dog off the bed for the same reason that you shouldn't recall your dog from a downstay. It's gonna increase the chance that if you put them on their bed and then you walk to the other side of the room, they might just randomly get off and come to you because that is a possibility or that's something that you've done with them. So they might anticipate that. 7, go to bed. 7, come. So the next scenario, you shouldn't recall your dog, or it's not that you shouldn't recall them from this, you just need to be careful and be aware of some things, is if somebody else is playing with, interacting with, or giving your dog a command. So let's say if somebody is telling your dog to sit, or telling your dog to down, or telling your dog to do something. You don't want to call them to you while the person is also trying to get your dog to do something, because that's going to teach your dog, oh, I shouldn't pay attention to this person, or I should ignore this person. Or they might learn to ignore you because this person is holding a treat over their head and telling them to sit, and then you're calling your dog, so you're giving your dog conflicting messages. 7, come. 7, come. 7, come. 7, come. Now, of course, if you want your dog to ignore this other person, for example, if it's some random stranger that walks up to your dog and starts to feed them, I would call them back to me at that point because you don't know what they're feeding them. You don't know if it's poison. And also you don't want your dog just running up to people and begging for treats. So it's okay to call your dog if you want them to ignore the person, but if it's another family member, for example, that's trying to train your dog, trying to teach them something, doing a training session, if you're simultaneously calling them to you, then they're going to get confused on who to listen to. If someone is giving your dog a command or is feeding them or interacting with them in some way, when you call them, that person should then ignore your dog. So your dog learns, oh, when you call me, there's no chance that this other person is going to interact with me after that point, so I need to ignore them and listen to you and come back to you. 7, come. No. 7, come. Good. Yes. Awesome. 7, come. 7, come. 7, come. No. 7, come. Good boy. Okay, free. All right. 7, come. 7, come. 7, come. No. 7, come. Good boy. Okay, free.